Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. And this is the weekly neutrino forecast for March 9th to March 15th of 2014. Human design is based on 4 ancient wisdom systems as a bridge to understanding our potential to discover our path to making decisions that are correct for us as individuals. And those traditions are astrology, the I Ching, the Hindu Brahmin chakra system, and the Kabbalistic tree of life. So let's look at how these patterns work together in human design. Well, we start by looking at the sun and the moon, the nodes and the planets in the wheel, just like we would in astrology, but with it, instead of looking at them as they compare to related to zodiological constellations or to each other by the angles that they make, we look at them in relation to the hexagrams of the I Ching. And then each one of those hexagrams is mapped to a specific location in the body graph. So on March 9th, we have the sun. It's here in Pisces, but if you go a little wider, you see it's in the 22nd hexagram, and the lines of the hexagram are numbered from bottom to top. So this one, the 22nd, would be go yang, yin, yang, yin, yin, yang, in our description here. The shapes inside this body graph are called centers, and they represent the next stage in evolution as human beings, moving from the 7 chakras that most of us are aware of to having 9 centers, and that mutation happened in 1781, coincidental to Herschel's discovery of the planet Uranus. These pathways between the centers are called channels, and they're from the Kabbalah. The black strips of paper on the chart represent gates that are being activated by the sun, the planets, the nodes, regardless of whether they form a channel. I'm not going to be following the moon in this demonstration. It moves very, very fast and activates 3 to 4 gates in a single day. The sun in the 22nd hexagram is mapped to an opening in the energy channel called the gate, and the 22nd gate is over here. This is the gate of openness, grace, equality of behavior, better suited for handling mundane and trivial situations. It's located in the solar plexus, which is the emotional center of the body graph, in an individual energy path called in the knowing circuit, and which is called the channel of openness, a design of being of a social being, and it connects up here to the 12 at the throat. And I found human design to be an amazingly accurate, and I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. Particularly, I don't think there's a better system for describing who the person is. And we have the following activated gates on March 9th. We have the sun in the 22. The earth is up here in the 47. We have the north node and Mars in the 50th gate, the south node in the 3rd gate. Mercury is in the 49, the revolution. Venus is down here in the 41. We have Jupiter is in the 39, Saturn up here in the 43, Uranus in the 21, Neptune in the 55, and Pluto is over here in the 38. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be really very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because you can some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your body graph. You know, and if you don't have a center that's coming through by a transit, if you didn't have a root center or you didn't have a solar plexus, then that's going to also be impacting you as well. And when you think about it, this definition has been here for 3 months. So for folks that didn't have those things, they might start to be getting used to it. And that's what we call conditioning, is you start to believe that something that's transiting or somebody who's in your aura is that you're that, and then it goes away and you realize you're not that. So anyway, if you're interested, you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com. Click on the button that says get your free rave chart, and then just enter your birth information. So we've had this channel of emoting here for quite a while now, with Jupiter in the 39 and Neptune in the 55. But it's ending this week on March 14th after influencing us for months. And this has been a time period where people will feel the pressure in the form of an emotional wave. And the best way to deal with this level of sensitivity is to appreciate the lows as well as the highs, recognizing that it's really just all part of our human experience, and it's temporary for those of us who don't have this channel in our birth charts. Yes, it's a conditioning force, but really, as human beings, we're here to be conditioned. That's how we experience life. What we use human design for is that we're not making decisions because of our conditioning. So this channel of emoting, it brings lessons that yield wisdom as long as we can stay present in moving from hope to despair, back to hope in a cycle of the emotional wave. It also gives us the ability to tap into greater creativity, which is fueled by melancholy, which we get whenever we have any kind of an individual channel being defined. Melancholy is also when you feel blue, and that energy is really best suited for some form of artistic expression. It brings deeply romantic and acoustic sensitivity, so listening to music or talking to a loved one is also favored while we have this channel here. So through this presentation, we're going to be looking at the sun's line values at each day, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ra Uru Hu said when talking about the daily shifts of line values, this is a quote: "We can always take advantage of the themes of the day." So that's kind of what I'm putting out here is, yes, these are conditioning forces, but if you know what's affecting you, and how it's affecting you, you can kind of plan your day accordingly, and certain days are beneficial for certain things. If you're going to do research, a first line day is going to be good for that. Whereas you don't really want to, have a big celebration where you want a lot of people there on a second line day because they're, in their hermitage. So anyway, let's look at the daily energy, and you'll see how this all plays out in the upcoming week here. So March 9th begins with the sun. It's in the 22nd hexagram, but we start in the second line. And the sun's exalted in the 22-2, and this is keynoted as charm school, the belief that style can mask nature. Exalted, it's the ability to successfully delude oneself and others, the ability to attract with an emotional style. Second line days, everyone's waiting for something, because it's the hermit. They're sitting back, they're waiting for the call. It's natural. Everyone's kind of stuck in their own trip. Like I said, not a great day to have a party because no one's going to want to come. They want to just hang out at home and wait to see who calls them out. So later on the 9th, though, the sun moves into the third line. So it moves from the hermit into in the line of the martyr. Again, and this occurs at 8:57 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Here in the United States, we changed clocks earlier on the 9th. So you want to take the times that I'm giving and convert them to your local time zone. The 22 in the third line is the enchanter, perfected grace, exalted its form as a definition and actualization of substance, the possibility for perfected openness through the alignment of emotional energy and awareness. Detrimented, its unconscious grace, an innate openness. And third line days are days to be careful on the roads, be careful of swinging doors, because the third line is about things coming and bumping into you. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business or work on the material plane, but you just want to be careful that because things can go wrong on a third line day. The martyr is about a trial and error process, bonds being made and broken, things that lead to discovery, particularly by figuring out what doesn't work. But sometimes the discovery is, I can't break it, so you discover that it does work. But again, third line themes are what are going to be dominating the day on the 9th. So you can use that to apply to what your experiences are going to be. On the 10th, the sun moves into the 4th line, and so it's up into the line of the opportunist. Again, it's still the 22nd hexagram. This shift happens at 7:28 a.m. again Eastern Daylight Time, where the sun is described in the 4th line of the 22. Its sensitivity, the modification of behavior to enrich interactions. Exalted, it's a mediumistic simplicity that rejects elaborate rituals, the possibility of social openness through the rejection of formality. Detrimented, it's an over-reliance on the mechanics of style that can abort potentially significant relationships, the limitation of social openness through the need for formality. And again, 4th line days, again, we're shifting from the lower trigram, being the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd line, to the upper trigram, 4, 5, and 6. So with a 4th line day, this is a time when we move from an inward perspective into looking around, into a more outward perspective. We're moving from a personal process to a transpersonal process with the themes of friendship, companionship, of networking. It's great for social interactions. People are more open to networking or to being friendly and social on a 4th line day. And then the 11th, the sun moves into the 5th line, up into the heretical line of the, again, 22nd hexagram. This occurs at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 22.5 is described as directness, the disregard of form when required. Exalted is the power inherent in higher principles to successfully transgress behavioral codes, the possibility through emotional awareness to behave individualistically in social interactions. Detrimented is a tendency to create embarrassing situations, and though invariably successful, the often resulting reputation for crudity or imprudence. The possibility that individual behavior and social interactions will generate negative projections from others. The 5th line is heretical. It's a day of suspicion. It's also a day of universalization. Something can leak out and spread very rapidly like a virus, like a YouTube video that suddenly has millions of viewings. There's a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on a 5th line day, but it also impacts the nature of our relationships. The 5th lines are also about projection and seduction. So, all these themes we're more likely to see during while the sun is moving through the 5th line. And then the 12th, the sun moves into the 6th line, the role model of the 22nd hexagram, at 4:33 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun's exalted in the 22.6, which is described as maturity, the alignment with experience of form with substance. Exalted, natural, and evident leadership and authority, the possibility that experience in social interaction will result in a leadership capacity. A 6th line day is a day not to get stuck with your head up in the clouds, because you're going to end up walking into something and having it bang into your kneecaps or your shins or whatever. There's a real lack of focus of what's going on around us under the influence of the 6th line. And because it's the harmony, the 3rd line is in harmony with the 6th line. The 3rd line brings certain dangers. So we also see, not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. And then also on the 12th, Mercury moves from the 49th hexagram and gate to the 30th hexagram and gate. And this gives us another definition here. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. It's communication, it's expansion of human consciousness through communication, but not only as words, but also through music. So what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what can be communicated in the 30? Fate. This is the gate of recognition of feelings, the clinging fire, freedom recognized as illusion, the limitation as fate. First line, it's composure, balance in the face of disorder, stability and balance through feelings with the potential to hold on to them. And with Mercury in the 30th gate, connected to Venus down here in the 41st, we have the channel of recognition until the 14th. So this gives us a couple of days to dream for the sake of the dream, with the expectation that the dream may not come true, or even bring us lasting peace. And this is part of the abstract collective circuitry. So sharing your experiences about your hopes and dreams with others will have a profound ability to stir their feelings. I'd expect folks to be a little more restless in their experience of this connection between the root and the solar plexus. Of course, we've had it for quite a while with the channel of Emoting. But for those who don't have emotional definition, this channel and the channel of emotion can really bring this unfamiliar wave of emotions. Along with this yearning to feel in order to learn. This is what the conditioning is if you get a center through transits that you don't normally have, for a while it feels uncomfortable and different, and then all of a sudden you get used to it, and then once it's there, like a long-term transit like we've had with this channel of Emoting, then you start to think it's you, and that's what the conditioning force is. Just by knowing this, being conscious of this, you'll be aware of how these things are impacting you as you move through this week, and if you keep following the reports as you move through weeks in the future. On the 13th, the Sun moves from the 22nd hexagram to the 36th, so it's moving out of grace and into crisis. Sort of a calm before the storm. So moves into crisis. Anytime the Sun moves, the Earth also moves because they're in axis in polarity, and the Earth moves into the 6th hexagram, friction, so this shift happens at 3:06 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the Sun in the 36th gate of crisis, the darkening of the light, the rules of cycles in which decline is natural and not an enduring stage. The 36-1 is resistance. Exalted is the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis. Detrimented is the over-principled resistance that, rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk, will maintain normal patterns that incur opposition, a resistance to change that always brings crisis. Like we were talking about earlier, when we get into the first line, second line, third line, these are the days when people are looking more inward, they're more absorbed in their own process. The theme of the first line day is fear. The investigator is the fear that needs to be investigated. It's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things that you don't understand and you can make sense of so anything you can't make sense of or that you don't know. This is a day, and what typically with the first line, it gets triggered as some kind of anxiety, and that research, getting that foundation knowledge, actually allows the anxiety, the fear to dissipate. And then on the 14th, the Sun moves up into the second line. So now we've moved up from the investigator into the line of the Hermit of the 36th gate. This shift happens at 1:40 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 36.2 is keynoted as support, assistance to others in times of decline. Exalted is the application of imagination to schemes which benefit others. The feelings that can benefit others in times of crisis. Detrimented, the more practical and individual assistance, but only when unavoidable and not as a general principle. So it's a selective assistance in crisis. Second line days, everyone's waiting for something or waiting for the call. They're stuck in their own trip. So again, not the best day to have a party, because nobody's going to come. They're all hanging out at home, if you're doing their hermit thing. And then on the 14th, Venus moves from the 41st hexagram into the 19th. So at that point, we no longer have the channel of recognition, but and Neptune. This is very, very significant. Moves from the 55 to the 37. So Neptune's been in the 55 now for several years. So this shift to the 37 is huge, and I'm going to talk about this. I've been talking about it for a while now, and for the first time since I don't even remember. I think since November, there's no centers defined by the transit. So let's talk about Venus. In human design, Venus is very powerful, although deeply misunderstood according to Ra. It brings morality. It's natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us. So what disturbs you on a moral level? The moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, that's what you get when you look at your Venuses in your rave chart. If we don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be very nasty in its retribution. In the 19th, Venus is the morality of wanting. It's here we have it. It's in the gate of approach, that all things are interrelated, is apparent and manifested through the action of approach. Venus in the first line of the 19th is interdependence. Exalted, the successful approach that does not lose its individual character in acceptance. The pressure of wanting without losing one's identity when accepted by others. Detrimented is the tendency, once an approach is accepted, to get stuck in the continued reflection at the expense of continued development. The pressure for acceptance, which fears eventual rejection. Neptune moving from the 55 to the 37. This, like I said, this is very significant. Neptune has been in the gate of spirits for years now. I remember it moving in 2011, August or September of 2011. I remember that because it had been in the 30, which was that was a challenging time for me, because you just couldn't see where fate was. Neptune brings our blind spot. Anyway, Neptune, it brings the veil. It doesn't let us see what things are about. And Neptune will trap you if you try to get behind the veil. So this is where we learn to surrender. And basically operating correctly by following your strategy and authority is surrender. In the 37, Neptune is bringing the veil to friendship, the family, the manifestation, macro and micro, cosmically of the organic nature of communities. Neptune in the first line of the 37 is in the line of the mother and father, a position of inherent respect that ensures a focus for development of guidelines exalted. Its harmony is the key to successful maintenance of relationships. It's only through harmony that beauty and value of the family can endure. Friendship is rooted in sensitivity that ensures harmony. Detrimented, there is no planet that's detrimented in the 37.1. This also means that we're starting to see the changes over the last few years to the 55th hexagram and its corresponding DNA codon, which of course is where the mutation will take place in 2027. I've talked about that in some past reports. I'm sure I'll be talking about it in future ones as well. And then on the 15th, the sun moves into the third line, the martyr line of the 36 hexagram, and this occurs at just 14 minutes after midnight Eastern Daylight Time. So if you're, make sure you check your time zone, because it quite likely this would not be, it could happen the day before for you. This is transition, the point where decline is exalted. Transition, the point at which decline has exhausted its power. Exalted, the ability to establish a new order out of the ashes of the old. The emotional depth to ensure crisis and to endure a crisis and embrace change. Detriment is a tendency in renewal to try to assimilate the remains of the old order into the new, with the risk that it may rise against the new order once it has regained its strength. The embrace of change, but with the feelings that will not let go of the past. And like we said before, third line days are about trial and error. You bump into things. It's a good material day, a good day to go into business. All these things are themes of third line day. Just be careful, because things can go wrong. But if they do, that's just a new way of finding a discovery. And then later on the 15th, the sun will move into the fourth line of the 36 and this occurs at 10:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, where the sun is described as this is called the line of espionage. Exalted is the ability to prepare for and anticipate decline through the accumulation of secret and or privileged information. The realization that knowledge, both covert and esoteric, is necessary, and if one is prepared for the crisis, for crisis and change, so basically that you can get both covert and esoteric knowledge, which helps prepare us for crisis and change in the exaltation. The detriment is the tendency in recognizing the strengths of the opposition to accept the inevitability of decline, and rather than resist, to offer one's service to guarantee survival. The double agent, crisis knowledge that's available to others for a price. And then fourth line days, the fourth line changes again from an inner perspective that we have with the first three lines to an outer perspective as we move into the fourth, fifth, and sixth lines. So again, fourth lines are themes of friendship, companionship, networking, great for social interactions, all these things we mentioned earlier. Also on the 15th, retrograde Mars, so from it moves out of the 50, where it's been with joining the North Node, and it backs into the 32 here. And this is the gate of continuity, duration. The only thing that endures is change. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype. And so by following our strategy and authority, we slowly get to refine the energy of our design and personality in Mars from immaturity to wisdom. Because Mars appears to be moving backwards from our perspective here on Earth, it enters into the sixth line of tranquility, the need to calmly face impermanence. Exalted is the underlying acceptance of change that may or may not lead to tranquility. The instinctive awareness to accept change and transformation. Detrimented is impermanence as proof of the meaninglessness with its attendant manifestations, depression, and in the extreme self-destruction. The fear engendered when change is experienced as impermanence and the potential for depression. So this week, we're continuing with the sun moving through the hexagrams of the 37, the 63, the 22, and now the 36, which are all the gates that are associated with the Mitra God's head. And we're going to return to the God's heads next week, but I'm going to allow some time for a new segment that I'm just trying out here at New World Birth. I'm going to welcome your feedback on this. It's just something that I'm playing with, and I thought I'd share. But basically, with Neptune moving from the 55 to the 37 hexagram this week, I thought I'd start a new segment called the Heretic Stake, which might be to stake a claim, but it might also getting tied to one. Either way, as a heretical investigator, this segment will be where I'll cover topics that might be a little more controversial or experimental, and yet to me are important enough to risk, take the risk that I might get burned for them. I certainly hope not. And this week's installment is completely experimental, and I'm just going to try it out, and we'll see over time whether it holds water or not. I live in the United States and have often looked at how the astrology transits affect the USA's natal chart. And so that's a pretty common practice that astrologists do is we get any kind of chart, whether it's a person or a place or an event, and we look at how the transits affect that. So I've cast the USA natal chart for July 4th, 1776 at 5:10 p.m. in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I thought I'd use the rave chart with that same information to see what it tells us, particularly related to what's happening now. Of course, I realized when the United States was founded, all the inhabitants were seven-centered beings. And if you look at the astrology of the USA's natal chart, it's obvious that the founding fathers, and particularly Ben Franklin, the astrologer who determined the time and date for the initial signing of the Declaration of Independence, knew the energetic of the natal chart for the birth of his new nation. And I believe that as the population evolved to 9 centers, so did the chart representing the nation. Basically these are my opinions. This is stuff that I'm just investigating. This is not, classic human design, but I just thought I'd share it and see what if it spoke to anybody, if it had any interest or not. So first of all, it interested me that the rave chart for the United States is a 5-1 projector on the left angle cross of individualism, with the personality sun in the 39-5 and with the channels of recognition and talent fully conscious, and the channels of the alpha and of the penetrating awareness unconscious. So for years now, we've had Neptune in the 55, and it's been exalting the USA sun in the 39.5. But this week, with the movement into the 37, the United States will lose its protection that is felt as a conditioning force. Also of interest is Uranus in the 21st hexagram connects up to the USA's Mars and in the 45.5, which is exalted while Uranus is in the harmonic gate, giving the influence of being in the money line. But that's only going to last until May of this year. And this week, on the 9th, Pluto will enter into the 5th line of the 38th hexagram for the first time since the founding of the United States. And this is an exact opposition to the USA sun, and thus it's a conjunction to the USA Earth on March 13th. And what happens is that the USA Earth is detrimented by the transiting Pluto. And the 5th line of the 38th gate is alienation, a stage in opposition when one is totally isolated. Detrimented, it's described as alienation, experienced as painful confinement that by its very nature blinds one to the possibility that there are those at some point who may come to one's aid. The energy for stubbornness is so strong that it's difficult to recognize that there are others who can help in times of struggle. So overall, I think these transits just indicate that the United States is entering into a time of major transformation. I know this is all outside of the usual scope of human design interpretation, but I just wanted to offer it as something to wonder about, as an experiment to see what can be discovered. So feel free to let me know what you think, and together we'll explore if human design can be applied in this way or not. But like I said, it's an experiment, and I just thought I would put it out there and see what other people think. If it speaks to you, then great. If not, just let it go. Anyway, so one of the things I'm fond of thinking is, we're passenger consciousness. So no matter what the energies that are conditioning you during the 2nd week of March, take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watch a sunrise or sunset, or commune with the stars. Just be conscious of the moment through introspection or meditation, or being truly present with somebody you love, because every single day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas that are beckoning to distract us. We're all just here giving the performance of the lifetime on the world stage. But passenger consciousness means taking some time out to observe the play as well as acting your part by remembering you're a spiritual being who's having a human experience. Thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for March 16th, 2014. It will be available on the 15th, when we will continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. We'll also explore Archangel Michael's God's Head, and you can check us out on Facebook and YouTube. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or text as widely as you choose. Also, we'll be discussing the transits of April 2014 and providing some short human design readings for the participants of the Earth Needs Rebel show on True Frequency Radio on Tuesday, April 1st. And so we had a lot of folks come out and check that out on the last show. We had 4 readings. It was wonderful. Didn't quite get to everybody, so I hope if I didn't get to you, please join us next time. And the Earth News Rebels are great. They will call you for free anywhere on the planet to bring you on the show, but you can also get them your information through the chat. As always, I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please feel free to contact me, as I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect on Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations here to keep these reports freely available. Of course, the best donation would be to get a reading, because then you get something back. But if you're not really interested in that, but you still want to support us, just email me again, newworldbirth@yahoo.com, and I'll let you know how to make a donation. As always, I'm feeling blessed that you've taken the time out to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh. And as Ra would say, love yourself. And like I said, I really hope that we will connect down the road, either for a reading or at the radio show or in these future videos. But thank you very, very much for just giving me the honor of your awareness and attention. Peace, everybody.